again and again?
Yes, because the first call he couldn't tell me whether people had died. He didn't have that information.
And when you were not satisfied with the information you were getting from Mr. Hicken, was there any reason why you didn't call the commissioner or call Mr. Sulal Prasad?
Well, I don't recall why I didn't call. Prasad had nothing to do with it in the first place.
But you called him.
Well, as I said, it could have been that I called him to get to the commissioner to call me.
Okay, and is there a reason why you didn't try the commissioner? You called him earlier.
Members of the Commission, if I may, there's no evidence that the minister did not try to call the commissioner. What is reflected in the record is that there's no connection between the two cellular phones. As I will indicate, there's no record of incompleted calls, so it's quite possible that the minister did try to get the commissioner and it did not register.
I hear you, Mr. Hugh, but I have another little difficulty. I can't see where this is taking us. You know, I want to get to something, as in Jamaica we say, I want to get to the nitty-gritty. And right here now, everything seems tangential. And, you know, you always cross-examine well, and you are doing so. But I'd like to see the matter advanced, Mr. Hughes. Take us closer. I want to travel with you along a route that takes us closer to the truth. That's what I would want.
We first have to know the truth,
as it is
sir.
now, all I'm getting is, well, Minister, you spoke to this one 5 times. Why didn't speak to the other one 9 times? You spoke to this one for 1 minute. Why not 6 minutes like the other one?
I'll go there, sir.
Yeah, and it was all after
Yes, I understand that.
the shooting that caused the 3 deaths.
I appreciate that. Now, you're aware by the time you gave the interview that we saw earlier that lethal force had been used.
That's correct.
You're also aware by the time you gave the interview that from your perspective that was unlawful, the use of lethal force.
I wasn't aware at that time that it had come from the police.
No, not who it came from. That it was unlawful, lethal.
Yeah.
You agreed with that. And you agreed that whoever associated themselves with the use of lethal force would have been putting themselves in harm's way.
Members of the Commission, is not asking the minister to speculate.
What qualifies the minister to make a judgment that the use of lethal force is unlawful? What qualifies him to do that?
I asked him specifically from his position, not that he could make a definitive finding.
He was not present and to be acquainted with the circumstances, so he cannot properly answer that question.
No,
in any event, he had no...
Now, prior to the 18th, were you in the habit of speaking to Mr. Hicken directly without going through the commission? Did you ever
Members
speak
of
to
the
Mr.
Commission, if I may,
Hicken before the
is this
18th?
relevant to, I would respectfully object to that, in that it is irrelevant to our terms of reference. If he gives specific instructions, please, you.
I asked him if prior to the 18th, if he had spoken to Hicken on telephone often. I said, have it, and I changed it.
I didn't hear him change it. That's why I raised the objection. If he was in the habit of, but even if he spoke to him before, I would respectfully submit that it is not relevant.
I've answered already.
No, I'm not in the habit of talking.
Good. Are you familiar with the types of cartridges or ammunition used by the Commission? Were you familiar prior to the 18th with the type of ammunition that the police normally use?
No.
Now, Mr. Hicken was head of the TSU on the 17th when you met with him. Sorry, he was, head of, commander of Linden when you met with him.
Yeah.
ENF, yeah. Linden falls in ENF. And at the time you met with him, did he make any request for that TSU unit to go to Linden?
That never came up at the meeting.
Did the Commissioner of Police indicate to you that he was going to send that unit to Linden?
Yes.
And in that unit, did he indicate whether or not he was going to send the water cannon?
In the unit?
Yeah, that's part of the equipment. Okay, well, subject to your best technician suggesting that it is, and subject to the Commission's intervention, I would like to show that to you. I provided the Commission with a copy of the DVD.
Members of the Commission, if I may I inquire of Mr. Hughes, with your leave, which term of reference is this in relation to?
This is specifically dealing with the events, the discussions that took place before, because I'm going on to suggest that at that meeting, specific instructions were given by the minister. And afterwards, that several conversations with Mr. Hicken were to deal with cleaning up what happened on the 18th. That is what I'm specifically going to put here.
I'm not following it clearly, because what you have put to the minister seems contrary to the allegation that he was directly involved.
No, that's
what you have put to him is suggesting that his mind was directed to the use of live rounds, and that he was given the assurance that that would not be so, be used, which seems to me to result in him having a comfort level that will not be used. And that is contrary now to a position where you would be saying that that same individual gave instructions to shoot.
Yeah, well, can I respond to you? No, I specifically am putting to him here matters that contradict, that go to credit. I'm going to go specifically to the allegation in relation to the discussions and the directions. But here, it's in relation to the minister's earlier testimony this morning and this afternoon. Well, this afternoon he said he didn't recall, but this morning he specifically said that he did not make any inquiries, period. And secondly...
So let me just say, you're setting out to show that he made the inquiries, and the result of the inquiries was the assurance that no live rounds would be...
No, I'm setting out to show, first of all, that his recollection of the events, one, is not accurate, two, is not reliable, and then I'm going to go on to suggest to him that the reason why that is so is not only because he was protecting himself, but because he specifically gave certain instructions. So I'm dealing insofar as the credit is concerned at this point.
The reason for the unreliable recollection is that he was protecting himself.
Yes.
That's it?
Yes. He was protecting and distancing himself.
So you are challenging that that assurance had been given at all?
Yes, of course.
You're saying that at that meeting, no such assurance was given?
Yes.
And whilst I understand it's not adversarial proceedings, you are basing that on available evidence of the content of the discussion that took place and or the briefing.
No, I have, the Commission's already said that there's no record of it, and I don't wish to suggest to you that I have a copy of the record of it.
Then what would be the basis?
Well, I'm coming to that.
Of that, because it does not arise in such a way that one can say that must have been.
But there you're going to the question of whether it's probative and whether the burden is on the balance or higher. My contention and suggestion...
No, I'm not going to that.
Well, my contention and position is this. By the time the Sunday interview was given, which is the interview I just put to him,
yes,
it was already clear to the minister that he was the subject of allegations about being directly involved.
Yes.
At the time of that interview, he clearly would not have had any reason to admit that he was involved, because clearly it was a serious allegation.
Yes.
In the light of his earlier testimony this morning, that he did not make any specific inquiries and that specific scenarios were not particularly addressed.
I understand all of that, but what I'm saying is your final position that no such assurance was given?
Well, I can't say that no such assurance was given.
If you can't say that no such assurance was given, what is the end result of all of this?
The end result of all of this, you will recall, Mr. Commissioner, is that first of all, from the start, we suggested that there was a meeting before the events in which there was a discussion about what was going to happen, and instructions were given. That has been challenged very strongly, and we have been advocating that. Part of that plan, as we have been submitting, is that...
Wait a second. You're saying that the instructions were given on the 17th and not that the instructions were given on the 18th, because what has been coming out in the evidence so far is that it is alleged that instructions were given on the 18th, and it began by saying it was around 5 o'clock. Then, when the telephone records were produced, there was a slight shift in that what I understood was that the telephone records showed that the call to Mr. Hicken came after we were going, because I thought that you wanted to have established a telephone call between the minister and the commander in relation to the possibility of certain instructions. But you haven't pursued that. But then you are at 9 o'clock, and you are with duration of calls. How long he spoke to this one, how long he spoke to the other one, whether it's 1 second, 3 minutes, or 6 minutes. And I am not too certain.
Well, can I address that directly?
Well, you may have a reason, you know, but whatever reason you have, it must be one to further the proceedings and to cause us to get closer to the truth. If it is an exercise which does not get us closer to the truth, then it is one in futility.
I agree with that, sir.
And you do not, like us, want to be involved in a futile exercise.
And can
So let us see if you can bring us closer to a position where, with a witness like the minister, you can cause us to go closer to the truth of what happened at Linden on the 18th of July, 2012.
Can I respond to that directly, sir?
Well, it is a request.
No, so well, yeah.
So it is not a matter for a response. It's just a request that you bring us closer.
I understand that.
Thank you.
Let me put it this way to you, Minister. You testified earlier that, to Mr. Hira, that you spoke with the Commissioner of Police around 7:30, 8 o'clock, got a briefing that you considered inadequate, and that was the reason why you then called Mr. Hicken. Is that correct?
I did say in between that I tried to call
Yeah,
him.
I'm not quibbling about the time, sir. But that is, in essence, what you said.
Yes.
Right. And you also testified that the call you made to the Commissioner was from your cell phone.
Yes.
Right. My suggestion to you is very clearly here that on the record of your cell calls made that evening, the time you spoke to the Commissioner was 1 second. In other words, well, do you agree with that?
That's what the record shows.
Yes. So I'm suggesting to you, sir, that you never intended to speak to the Minister. You were, sorry, to the Commissioner, sorry, that you went specifically to Mr. Hicken, with whom you had a relationship, to get information.
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
No.
And I don't wish to be perceived as facetious with this question. Do you agree with me that there's very little that you can say in a second? Matter of fact, there's nothing you can convey in a second, really, other than hello.
I'm not sure. I never checked it.
Okay, good. Now, that other telephone, mobile phone that you have, that you cannot recall the number of, would you be able to make that number available to the Commission for examination of the numbers called from that number?
Sure.
Now, I wonder if I can invite you, sir, to look at the number you say your secretary normally calls from, which is 2257270. Do you recall just before 6 o'clock on the 18th asking your secretary to contact the Deputy Commissioner of Police and Crime Chief, Mr. Sulal Prasad?
Could you tell me where that record is recorded?
No, I'm just asking if, can you be shown the exhibit for the hard line? Hard line. Landline. Sorry. Now, at 5 to 6, were you in your office at the Ministry of Home Affairs, where that number is located?
No.
Huh?
No.
You weren't? Right. Now, do you have a recollection? You say you would call your secretary and ask her to get in contact with police officers from that number.
Yes.
Do you have any recollections about sometime immediately before 5 to 6 in that afternoon, calling your secretary and asking her to contact the crime chief?
No, I don't have a recollection, but it is possible.
It is possible.
Yeah.
I see. And where exactly were you at 5 to 6, just before the incident at Linden unfolded?
At the office of the president.
You're at the office of the president?
Yes.
Commissioners, I don't know if it's 12:30, if you want to break here for us to come back. I still have a while to go with him.
We have good time to take the lunch break and return at 2.
Mr. Williams,
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
So then, which is it? Is it that the instructions were given on the 17th, or that the instructions were given on the 18th? And I just want to make it clear that I'm pursuing this in this way because this is a specific term of reference. And unless I understand it very clearly and all ambiguity is removed, then there will be great difficulty in formulating a response to the term. So accuracy is very important in this.
Yeah, well, might I respond to you?
Please do.
One, the Commission of Inquiry, when it started, when the very first day when you sat, our status was that of looking at the interests of the people who were shot and killed. Didn't understand our position to be that we were specifically prosecuting a case. Sorry.
No, I don't want you to use that, because even now the situation is that you're not prosecuting a case.
But I'm coming to...
But you are pursuing a position.
Indeed, and I'm coming to...
A position which was taken at the beginning, and for us to be assisted, there has to be some consistency in the position, or there has to be some indication that the position has shifted.
Might I address that, sir? Sorry. Give me the term of the second terms of reference.
Because, you see, when we examine, for example, the terms of reference, if the minister gave specific instructions or general instructions to maintain law and order, that's a totally different situation from what is being alleged. And a general instruction to maintain law and order would encompass what you are saying is contained in the video: an assurance that there will be no discharge of live ammunition. So you understand where I'm going, Mr. Hughes, where I am going to that position where when we are writing this report and we make reference to the evidence, it has to be crystal clear so that the public can understand what is it that was adduced and what is the evidentiary basis for coming to conclusions. Because unless the public know that, then they will be critical of something that they really don't have the foundation to have made an assessment. So that if there's a shift in position, then it causes great difficulty to us.
Might I, with respect, respond, sir? When the Commission commenced sitting, one of the specific grounds at 1F was, inquire what, if any, general or specific instructions did the Minister of Home Affairs give to the police to maintain law and order in Linden immediately before, during, and immediately after the events of the 18th. So long before the Commission got to even hearing anybody's position, the Commission was charged with that responsibility. And therefore, the Commission is expected, I believe, to address that specific term of reference. And therefore, insofar as there may be evidence that is useful and may assist the Commission in addressing general and specific instructions, this is long before you get to the position taken by the deceased. Insofar as there's evidence that may assist the Commission in general and specific instructions as to what actually took place, I believe the Commission may wish to hear. The Minister this morning, in his testimony when he was being asked evidence in chief, and also in the earlier part of my cross-examination, started to address the issue of specific and general, or general and specific instructions. And amongst the various things that he said that he did not ask any questions. He was given a certain position by the Commissioner of Police. It was only the Commissioner of Police who spoke. So he created a certain impression of what took place. Upon review of an interview with the Minister, and having extracted from what he has said, and this is long before we come to the position of the deceased, there are contradictions in between what he said this morning and what is on the tape. The first and most obvious one is where he specifically made an inquiry, because this morning the impression given by the Minister was he did not delve into what went on. He specifically just took a report. He took a briefing from the Commissioner of Police. And in his own words, that is contradicted. So insofar as you raise that, and coming to your other issues about whether we're shifting ground.
I understand. My intervention dealt more with the substance rather than the form. Your explanation just now is telling me that you are concerned and trying to highlight what you have defined as an inconsistency, whereas I was going to the substance of what is being said. So let me not intervene anymore. Proceed.
No, well, I just want to clarify one aspect of what you said just now.